Hi, everybody. This is Barbara Mayerson from joyandsuccess.com. And I have today with me a wonderful person from Canada. Her name's Stephenie Farrell. And she's a little tapper, like, you know how much I love it. My audience knows how much I love it. So I want to thank you so much, Stephenie, for joining me today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, Barbara.
Well, I want to ask you a few questions about how you started with what you're doing and how you got into tapping. And you were just telling me you're teaching yoga and you're into all of that stuff. So let me know your beginnings of how you started your business.
Yeah, so first of all, I'm a body confidence coach, and I help women who feel like their lives are really controlled by food, exercise, and body image free themselves from destructive eating patterns and really feel confidently in their own skin. Um, in essence, I really want women to stop measuring their self-worth by their weight, size, and numbers on a scale. And I'm not sure how far you want me to go back, but I have my own battle with this. As a young child, a very young child, um, I remember feeling like my body was wrong, that there was something wrong with me. I knew I was bigger than other children, and I just gained so much weight. And goodness, I mean, I remember waking up one morning to go to school when I was about 5 years old, and it was picture day, and I had to have my picture taken. And even at 5 years old, I was so conscious of my image, my body image, and my weight. I remember changing 3 or 4 times and looking at my father, looking up at him and saying, "Daddy, do I look fat in this?"
At that age.
Yeah, at that age. So, I mean, I really struggled with food and body image from such a small age. I run the gamut from, binge eating as a child and really using food to feel safe emotionally
Mm-hmm.
and feel loved and safe. And then when I was a teenager again, I discovered that purging was a way that I could actually control my weight, and then it went on to restricting, and I had some severe anorexia for a while, and I got some treatment, but it really wasn't so effective in a sense. I was refed, I was at a normal weight, but for many years, restriction and overexercise plagued me. So this is why I'm doing the work I am today with women. So.
Well, I think that's fabulous because, yeah, I mean, it's sad that so many young girls feels when they're little, and I don't know where they get it. I guess maybe from their mothers, and their mothers looked themselves in the mirror and they said, "Oh, I'm terrible." And I know I've had some family members who did that too when they were like 6. I don't remember doing that, but my sister or other family members when they're young, do I look fat and like food? Um, and I think like and then of course, once you start at 5 or 6 years old or 7 or 8, it's like that for a long, long time. And I would imagine most people don't even get out of it. And I think it's great that you're doing that and helping women change the way that they see themselves and get out of this body conscious, self-hate about their bodies. And so then you started your business, I guess, because of that, about the confidence.
Actually, I started my business as an empowerment coach. So I was using EFT, I was using elements of yoga, and also I'm trauma informed. I teach trauma sensitive yoga as well. So I was sort of working with empowerment and doing a little trauma work with people. And it wasn't until a few years ago when I started to really just heal my own body image issues and my own disordered eating that I felt this need to really share it with other women. And I know the techniques because I work with specifically somatic cognitive energy techniques such as emotional freedom techniques. I use a lot of breath work, yogic work. So it's a very body body approach, but also, you know, the cognitive work with EFT and regular coaching. So, um, yeah, it was really then that I decided that this is something I need to share with other women. And I you know, at the time when I was very, very sick as a teenager, I thought it was only me, you know. I thought
That
it
you
was
what?
I thought it was only me. Like
Uh-huh.
I was the only one who had these issues. And I just really wished, you know, that someone would come along and just put food and weight in their appropriate places in my life. But all those years later, it turned out to really be me. So,
I think a lot of women, well, I can't speak for women because I don't deal with that with people, but I would imagine there's a lot of shame involved in it. And I know with myself sometimes it's you're there's so many people that don't have food, especially these days. Like there's a lot of um, people that are lacking not, and then here you are overeating, and it's like feeling guilty about like all these people don't have food, and you're overeating, and you're feeling guilty. So I think there's a lot of shame involved that people don't talk about it. The women don't talk about it,
yeah.
and the shame just makes it worse. And it's nice that people, I mean, I'm watching some people on TV that they're sharing it, that what they're doing with the COVID-15 they're talking about, and like the college 15 pounds that everybody puts on.
Mhm.
And I think it's good when it's opened up because then the shame goes away. You don't say like you thought you were alone. You weren't alone, but you didn't know that. And I think it's great that you're opening this up for women. And I think talking about it today, we're going to hit a lot of nerves and people are going to say, yeah, wow, boy, that's me. And just to be able to open it up and to realize that they're not alone and there's help for them out there. So, and then we want to do some tapping on this whole issue. So I want you to start the tapping. Obviously, you're the expert on the subject.
Sure. Can I actually talk about just a bit about polyvagal and why the techniques I use work
Sure.
so?
I mean, and if you don't want to do tapping, if this,
Sure.
I don't know other things out there. I know a few things out there, but not that. One of what I love to bring people to people.
Yeah.
So if there's something besides tapping that you want to introduce to us, because we do know tapping, my audience, I've had other tappers on, but if there's something else that that's is effective that you love, please feel free to. Somebody taught me something a couple of weeks ago. We were doing something and
Mhm.
completely different from tapping. So I'd be more than happy to do anything that you wanted to do.
Okay. Well, I think tapping is fantastic, and it's one of those go-to things that I use with clients and with myself, of course. But I just wanted to explain a little bit about uh, polyvagal theory and why tapping and why the other somatic cognitive techniques that I use work so well, and just sort of talk about that approach with the body confidence, if that's okay.
Okay. Okay. Can you talk a little louder? I'm not sure.
Sure, I'm sorry about that. I just wanted to explain a little bit about the polyvagal technique and why, or polyvagal theory actually by Dr. Stephen Porges. I'm not an expert, but just to tell people out there that there is another way of looking at things and working with somatic cognitive energy techniques for
Okay.
body confidence and body image and disordered eating. So Polyvagal Theory by Dr. Stephen Porges. If anyone's really interested, they should go and definitely read his book. He is the expert on this. But I'll just explain a little bit about that and how it kind of relates to this. So we have an autonomic nervous system. And then we have the vagus nerve, which is, I believe, the 10th cranial nerve. And it runs down the back of our neck and it innervates so many different places in the body. Now, when we're under stress, there is a different part of our nervous system. Part of our nervous system is the sympathetic nervous system. So you've probably heard of that fight flight response where you want to, yes, so that's the stress response. But then some people think the other part of the system, the parasympathetic nervous system, is only the rest and digest phase where you're sort of connected and just in that resting phase. But it actually branches into two. So the parasympathetic nervous system branches into that, yes, that nice ventral, connects to the eyes and the facial gestures. And that's when you're open and you're feeling safe and calm and confident, and your higher thinking goes on. But the other side of that is actually the dorsal vagal system. And that dorsal vagal system, when that's activated, we go into the freeze response. So if you've ever seen Shark Week on Discovery, you know, when they turn a shark upside down, it's immobilized, completely immobilized. So some people who suffer with either trauma or they suffer with stresses, and I mean, when you're so hyper vigilant about what you're eating and obsessing about your exercise and scared to gain weight with that internalized fat phobia, then you're either in that sympathetic fight-flight response, or maybe you're vacillating between that and the hypo response. You know, if you're starving, if you're in that sort of hypo state. So those places are not, you know, not uncommon to vacillate between. So what the tapping does actually, and what the other techniques I use do, is create a bigger window of tolerance. We call it the window of tolerance, where we're more able to stay in that ventral system, that ventral vagal system, where we're online, where we're connected with ourselves, connected with other people, and connected with the world around us. So it really builds that resiliency. So that's why I wanted to talk about the polyvagal theory. And again, Dr. Stephenie Farrell is the huge person to look at for this. I definitely recommend you read his book. But in terms of just changing people's beliefs about their body, connecting them with themselves and feeling good in their bodies, yoga is one method I use, breathing. And then the other one, the big one, is the EFT. So I would love to do some tapping on that now. One thing I have to say is that so many women, you were talking about the shame that women have about their bodies, and you know, not feeling confident in their bodies, not liking their bodies, and that sort of internalized fat phobia. We're always looking to the media. I mean, so many people are on Instagram, so many people are on Facebook, and there's images that inundate us all over the place. And when we don't really, I like to tell people to curate their Instagram so that they're losing or they're unfollowing those people or those things that trigger them into that response of not feeling worthy or good enough, and to really look to other pages, other things where they're seeing body types and sizes, all body types and sizes, and really getting that body positivity message. So that's one great thing to do. But the tapping, I wanted to focus on basically not feeling good enough and not feeling like we measure up, because I find that's a really, really big issue.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. Like, you know, like they're measuring or judging themselves and judging other people and not measuring up, or thinking they're better than other people because somebody's heavier than they are. And it's just a really lousy cycle, instead of just loving, feeling good about themselves and feeling good about anyone, whether they're bigger or smaller, it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's so take it away, Steph. Anything that you start the tapping, and I'll do your echo, and we'll.
Excellent. That's awesome. So again, you know, this is, please take responsibility for your own well-being if you're going to tap along with us. We'll go through the tapping points, we'll go through the script, and of course, it is a generalized script. So, you know, you may connect with it, you may not connect with parts of it, and that's okay too, because even if you're tapping, you're getting some kind of calming for the nervous system. You're actually borrowing some benefits from it. So I'll take it away, and you can be my echo.
Okay, sounds great.
We'll take a nice deep breath as we start tapping on the side of the hand here. And let that breath go. Good. So even though I have this fear that I'm not good enough,
I have this fear that I'm not good enough,
I choose to accept how I feel.
I choose to accept how I feel.
Even though I believe I don't measure up,
even though I believe I don't measure up,
I'm working on loving and accepting myself.
I'm working on loving and accepting myself
and all parts of me.
and all parts of me,
Even though
even though
I feel like I'm not good enough,
I feel like I'm not good enough,
like I don't measure up,
like I don't measure up.
I choose to honor and accept myself,
I choose to honor and accept myself
and maybe anyone else
and maybe anyone else
who may have made me feel this way.
who may have made me feel this way.
Go up to the eyebrow. I don't feel good enough.
I don't feel good enough.
Side of the eye. I believe I just don't measure up.
I believe I just don't measure up.
I really feel like there's something wrong with me.
I really feel like there's something wrong with me.
Like my body is broken somehow.
Like my body is broken somehow.
This feeling of not measuring up to societal standards.
This feeling of not measuring up
To societal standards.
to societal standards,
To my standards.
to my standards.
This deep belief that I'm not worthy
This deep belief that I'm not worthy
of having,
of having,
being, or doing
being, or doing
what I really want in life.
what I really want in life.
Is this all really true?
Is this all really true?
All this fear of measuring up holds me back.
All this fear of measuring up holds me back.
So maybe
Or maybe
I can be willing
I can be willing
to release my emotional attachment
to release my emotional attachment
to that label I give myself
to that label I give myself
of not being enough.
of not being enough.
All those lies.
All those lies.
Maybe someone told me
Maybe someone told me
that I wasn't good enough,
that I wasn't good enough,
or pretty enough,
or pretty enough,
or thin enough,
or thin enough,
or smart enough.
or smart enough.
But maybe they said that
Maybe they said that
because they didn't feel good enough.
because they didn't feel good enough.
But I really believed it.
But I really believed it.
I believed all those lies.
I believed all those lies.
And I choose to challenge this belief.
And I choose to challenge this belief.
I choose to believe that I am good enough.
I choose to believe that I am good enough.
I am good enough.
I am good enough.
The truth is, I am just as worthy as anyone else.
The truth is, I am just as worthy as anybody else.
I'm trying to let go.
I'm trying to let go.
Letting go of these beliefs.
Letting go of these beliefs.
These old beliefs.
These old beliefs.
These lies I've been telling myself.
These lies I've been telling myself.
And I'm clearing the belief.
Clearing the beliefs.
Of not being good enough.
Of not being good enough.
And I'm clearing up all those times.
And I'm clearing up all those times.
In my life.
In my life.
Where I feared.
Where I feared.
And I felt.
And I felt.
Like I just didn't measure up.
Like I just didn't measure up.
Yeah. Besides, there's no universal standard for being worthy.
Besides, there's no universal standard for being, well, I lost that this one.
For being worthy.
For being worthy.
Yeah. And those old beliefs hold me back.
Those old beliefs hold me back.
Yeah. Choosing to let go of this story.
Choosing to let go of the story.
This old story I tell myself.
This old story I tell myself.
That I'm not good enough.
That I'm not good enough.
Yeah, I'm unhitching my self-worth.
I'm unhitching my self-worth.
From my weight.
And my weight.
From my size.
And my size.
Or those numbers on a scale.
And the numbers on the scale.
I'm freeing myself from that old pattern.
Freeing myself from that old pattern.
Setting myself free.
Setting myself free.
In my body.
In my body.
My mind.
My mind.
And my spirit.
And my spirit.
And so it is. Take a nice deep breath in. And let it go.
That was wonderful. I was just thinking as we were tapping, do you think a lot of people like they do stop themselves and they blame it on their weight. They don't get out there in the world and they're blaming their weight because it's the easiest thing to blame.
Yeah, I mean, even for myself, you know, I held myself back for so long. It's not really about the weight. I mean, it's not about the weight. It's not about the food. It's not about the exercise. It's
Right.
not about that so much. It's about so much more, so much underneath, you know, those beliefs, those um, traumas, those societal standards that we just can't live up to, that's perpetuated by the diet industry and the beauty industry. We've been told all of our lives, you know, better measure up, you should be thin, you should be this, you should be that, just so that we can be happy in our lives. So when we feel like we don't measure up, when we feel like we're not that image of the perfect woman, and I've had clients say this to me, I thought I had to be a perfect woman, whatever that means, right?
Right.
What is the perfect woman? When we don't feel like we measure up, um, we externalize all those things, put it onto our body, put it onto the food, and we hold ourselves back in so many ways from
It's
doing.
interesting to me, like I've noticed a lot of women lately who've been killing themselves. And to me, they look really good and they're pretty and they're successful and they're thin. I'm like, well, but they're thin and why are they killing themselves? And because it's not about that. And,
No.
some people are born that will never have a weight issue. And some people, um, it's one of their issues to work through so they can feel good about themselves and not use their image. So I think what you're doing is amazing, and that you were able to help yourself and then helping other women. And I'm sure a lot of women, you people out there are going to get it, and this is really going to really hit them of that they're not alone, and there's help out there for them, and there's help for you. How can people get in touch with you, Steph?
Well, they can definitely follow me on Instagram at clarity_power_results. They can connect with me on my website, stepheniefarrell.com. So that's STEPHENIE, Farrell, FARRELL.com. And I would love to speak with them. I'd love to really share with them and to hear their story too.
Well, that would be great, and reach out to Stephenie if she's available. She'd love to help you, and nothing. You don't have to be ashamed anymore, and you can share. So many people out there, and I think having I don't know if you have groups or anything, but I know I'm looking to do groups and like sharing with other people that have the same kind of stuff in a happy, upbeat, tapping way. So
Yeah. Tapping is fantastic for that. Yeah, it can shift
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, thank you so much, Stephenie, for joining us. And thank you, everybody out there, for joining us. And get in touch with Stephenie, and we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Barbara.
Thank you.